I'm starting off my PowerPoint with a brief slide about Conrad Hilton's early life. He was born December 25th, 1887, died January 3rd, 1979. He was born in San Antonio, New Mexico. He was born one of 8 children. His father was Gus Hilton, a successful businessman, the owner of a dry goods store by the name of Hilton Merchandise. His mother was Genevieve Hilton, a pioneer woman, Catholic, very religious, very big on morals and family values. Conrad Hilton's first job was at his father's dry goods store. As soon as he could see over the store counter, he was already doing negotiations, making sales, dealing with customers, as well as developing his work ethic. As a young man, Conrad Hilton served in World War I, and after this, he also spent 2 years as a politician, passing several bills into legislature. Shortly thereafter, 2 years into the politics, Conrad realized that politics was too frustrating and slow for him. So he decided to get out of politics, again, a failed venture for him, and he decided to open up a bank. In 1919, Hilton opened up his first bank, and he opened this up because he saw an opportunity in 1919 when New Mexico was joining the statehood. And this meant an influx of people with money that they would most likely want to be putting away. Unfortunately, his community, the town of Cisco, was too small, and the bank never took off. He had no customers. So this was another failed venture, just like his 2 years in politics. After the bank was not a success for him, he was staying at the Mobley Hotel, and while staying there, he realized how much business was coming in and out of the hotel. Most of the business came from the railroad. People who rode on the railroad that were looking for somewhere to spend the night would stay at the Mobley Hotel. One day while leaving the Mobley Hotel, he inquired to the innkeeper, "How lucrative of a business is this?" And when the innkeeper explained to him that it was a very good business, that it made money, Hilton decided that he wanted to become a hotelier. He bought the Mobley Hotel and made it his own, Hilton. And this is where the Hilton legacy began. On this slide, this is just a brief photos of the ventures prior to becoming a hotelier for Conrad Hilton. The first one is Conrad Hilton in his dad's dry goods store, as well as the bank on the bottom that failed for Hilton, and a picture of Capitol Hill. Obviously, this was another failed venture for Hilton. On this slide, we have a brief video that I would like to show of Conrad explaining his conversation with the innkeeper that made him decide that he wanted to become a hotelier.
Well, I went down to buy a bank right after the war, 1919, in a little town in Cisco, Texas. And the banker had agreed to sell me this little small bank, and then he raised me $5,000. But it made me mad, and I was staying at this hotel, and I happened to ask the hotel proprietor how much money he was making, and he told me he was making a lot of money. So I says, "I'd like to buy your hotel. Here's where I don't become a banker, and I'm going to become a hotel man."
And that's what happened, and you certainly did.
And so, in 1919, in Cisco, Texas, Connie began life as a hotel man.
So that little excerpt was Conrad answering interview questions about how he got into the hotel industry. This next slide goes over the different ways that Conrad Hilton is a leader. Hilton is a transformational leader in that his life story inspires extreme devotion and extraordinary effort amongst followers spanning decades. And even into the new millennium, there are people who follow Conrad Hilton's story and that are inspired, like myself, by Conrad Hilton's story. Hilton is also a charismatic leader in that he's always thinking ahead, always moving towards the future. An example of this is Conrad Hilton set goals for himself to open a new hotel every year while he was chief and CEO, president of Hilton. And his whole adult life was basically spent on a plane going from location to location, scouting possible hotel venues. And he is also a role model of the American success story and a role model in the industry. Hilton also has qualities of a participative leader in that he genuinely cared about what his employees had to say. From the bellman standing outside holding the door for you to the concierge, Hilton believed every employee held an important role in the customer experience and in the Hilton brand. His most famous thing is posters around the employee areas asking, "Have you smiled today?" He was a very positive, charismatic, always wanting to shed light and shed joy and bring people happiness in his industry. Hilton was also an innovative leader in that he initiated the industry's first inter-hotel reservation system in 1948. Nowadays, hotels cannot live without a registration system. So this is something that has become an industry standard that started in Hilton. Hilton also led his company in a relationship-oriented fashion. His views on the industry were that acts of hospitality built bridges between people and even nations. Hilton was also a very achievement-oriented leader in setting high goals for his brand. Like I said before, he set goals to open hotels every year while he was head of operations and he was the president of Hilton. He wanted to expand as much as possible and in as many countries as he could. And now Hilton is a worldwide over 500 property company. Hilton also is innovative in that he's an innovative leader in that he was the first in the industry to put air conditioning, TVs, amenities like ironing boards and sewing kits into the rooms. He set up a system to order amenities like soaps, hand lotions, anything that customers of the hotel needed in their stateroom. And he was met with adversity, especially things like new technology like TVs. Back then, TVs were very few and far between. Not that many families had them. So I can imagine to make such an expense as to put TVs in each and every hotel room was met with a lot of adversity. But even though he was presented with this, he went with his gut, he went with his heart, and he went with technology and put TVs innovation into all of his rooms. This slide was a brief Q&A that was taken from Business Management Daily, and one of the first question is it true that you are relentlessly positive? And this shows that he is a positive leader because he says, why dwell on things that aren't nice? And this where it talks about the posters, have you smiled today? It's bound to give you a lift. showing that he is a very positive leader. He likes to compel people to portray happiness so that they can also give that to the customers. He was also asked about the depression, that it wiped him out, yet he bounced back. This also shows that he can meet adversity and still come back winning. He was also asked, how do you define success as a leader? Success is a process more than a realization. It's never final. Success seems to be connected with actions, with specific actions. Successful people keep moving. They don't stop to think about the next move. And he was asked if leaders should act without reflection. And he said no. And he felt that things can be done through thinking and figuring and planning, but it is most important to listen, to keep silent, pay attention to what's around you, and then something just clicks and you have the right answer. The lessons that I learned from my leader. Lesson number 1 that I learned from studying Conrad Hilton is to never be a follower. Create something that is your own. Be an innovator. He didn't do what was expected, which would be to continue in his father's footsteps. He made his own legacy, that is Hilton Worldwide. Also, to never give up. Just because one venture fails doesn't mean that your life is over. He had a venture in politics for 2 years and that didn't work out. He also had the bank in 1919. That didn't work out. He did not let any of his failed ventures keep him from succeeding. And one thing that I love that he always, that is a quote that is always attributed to him, is to keep moving forward. Don't think so much. Even if you make a mistake, just keep moving. And another lesson, the third lesson that I learned from Conrad Hilton, is to never let an opportunity pass you by. In purchasing the Mobley Hotel, he saw that there was a market for middle-class hotels. There was very, very high-end at the moment, and there was also very, very low-end. There was no middle-class hotels, and this is where he saw the opportunity to develop the Mobley Hotel and future hotels to come into a hotel where the developing middle class in America could go, and has turned into an international, worldwide corporation. And another lesson, number 4, that I learned from Conrad Hilton was to use every experience in life as a learning experience. He started with the work ethic in his father's dry goods store. He even negotiated with sellers bringing furs into the store. The negotiation skills that he learned from this, he took on to even negotiating properties and venues and potential leads for spaces to build hotels. So he took the negotiating skills that he learned as a young child and he just built on them, and he turned it into this huge corporation. And also learning from Hilton was lesson number 5, that attitude is everything. If you have a positive outlook and a positive attitude and you exude that to your guests, you exude that to your followers, that will also create a legacy, and it will also create a good relationship with people. The end.